Well, it was a shocking moment which has sent reverberations across the entire world. Former US President Donald Trump was shot through the ear in an attempted assassination that wasn't, mercifully, quite successful. The alleged shooter was 20-year-old Pennsylvania resident Thomas Matthew Crooks. The motive is not yet known. He was shot dead by the Secret Service at the scene. And not so fortunate were the one person in the crowd who was killed and the two others who were wounded. Now, since the attack, the former US president has since said in an interview, "I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be dead." Let's take a look now at the incredible moment when Donald Trump literally dodged death.
If you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Well, it's still surreal to believe that Donald Trump came that close to death. And that image of him pumping his fist in the air and shouting, "Fight, fight, fight," against the backdrop of that US flag will surely go down as one of the most historic images in political history. Now, here's how President Biden reacted.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence, or for any violence ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized. You know, the political record in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down. Disagreement is inevitable in American democracy. It's part of human nature. But politics must never be a literal battlefield, and God forbid, a killing field.
Well, let's call for calm, said Joe Biden. Well, last week he said, let's put a bullseye on Donald Trump. Well, that call for unity may well fall on deaf ears if these reactions from some on the left are anything to go by.
You don't miss those! One shot at greatness to be mentioned in the history books! And you missed the shot!
I haven't even had a second to process. You're telling me somebody finally had the balls to bring a pew-pew, and he missed! We were a second away! We were a centimeter away from half of the problem being gone, and you missed!
I'm not saying that I would ever try to assassinate a presidential candidate. All I'm saying is that if I went through all of that trouble, I wouldn't miss.
Isn't it astonishing? Trump derangement syndrome doesn't even have a day off on the day when they tried to kill Donald Trump. What's wrong with these people? Some weird brain virus. They're the ones, remember, who say that people on the political right are the problem. These are the Be Kind Brigade. Well, there's no kindness on offer anywhere in sight. And Jack Black, remember him? Yeah, the guy from School of Rock. Well, he had this classy response to the news that a former president had nearly been shot dead and murdered in front of the entire world.
Don't miss Trump next time.
Now, can you imagine if the roles were reversed? Can you imagine if anybody from the political right was glorifying the fact that an attempted assassination on Joe Biden or anybody else from that political side of the spectrum went wrong? Next time, make sure you get the guy. It's an astonishing display of how hateful that side of the political spectrum has become. And just to mention that happening right now is the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where Donald Trump is expected to announce his vice president choice in the coming days. And meanwhile, outside the convention is an anti-Trump protest. The coalition to march on the RNC, you can see that all there on your screen in Milwaukee. And there are, of course, Palestine flags, the ubiquitous flag of the Caring, Sharing Brigade. Seriously, why don't these people have a day off? On Saturday, Donald Trump was almost assassinated on live television in front of the world, and they still think a good use of their time is to fly the Palestine flag of peace and call for Trump to stand down. It's just astonishing how polarized politics has become in America. Even this attempted assassination hasn't been a wake-up call to these people. It's incredible. And joining me now to discuss this is the former Trump campaign deputy chairman, Rick Gates. Rick, welcome to the show. Incredible scenes on our screens there. Even 2 days after the attempted assassination, they're still out there. They are still waving their flags. How on earth did America become so polarized? Because you'd have thought that this attempted assassination might make them think, do you know what? We should take a day off. That hasn't happened.
It's great to be with you this evening, and it truly is astonishing to see the polarization in our country. Our country is truly divided when it comes to political parties, and I don't think that you're going to see, any healing in that, as you demonstrated from some of the videos. These people are radical. They want to create violence, which there is just absolutely no place in politics for that. But hopefully, these protests that you see outside the Republican convention, the Democrats will have theirs in a couple of weeks, and you will have protests there inevitably. Hopefully, those will be peaceful protests. But at the end of the day, the two candidates, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, have an opportunity through all of these different events to potentially unite our country.
And how do you think this will affect the electorate? I mean, we saw, for example, in 1981, with the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan saw an 8% boost in his polling. People don't like, rightly so, they don't like people being put in these sort of situations. And do you think actually the hateful words of the people we saw on our screens a moment ago, including Jack Black, the total lack of empathy or soul they have, will this further galvanize, do you think, the moderates? Certainly it will the pro-Trump MAGA hardcore voters, but the moderate people watching on, they must be horrified by this.
It'll do two things. It'll galvanize Trump's base, and you will see a lot of people in the rural areas, other areas, come out to vote in droves. And then the moderates and independents, I've always said, are the key to this race. I think they will be moved by this. The Democrats have always said, hey, we're not the party of violence. But yet then you see this demonstration where they attempt to kill one of the presidential candidates on the right. So you're going to see the moderates and independents, I believe, sway toward Donald Trump in the end.
And Rick, how phony do you think it is when we see Bill Gates calling for calm, saying politics shouldn't be a killing field? The same Joe Biden who last week said, let's put Trump in a bullseye.
Yeah, actions speak louder than words. And until Joe Biden is getting a free pass on this because he's got his own issues with being kicked out of the presidency and his nomination, this has given the media something else to focus on. But at the end, Joe Biden, other Democrats, they've got to control the people in their party. They've got to be the ones to step up and say, enough is enough. We need to be united. We need to be calm. We can't have this type of action in our political system. There's no place for it. So we shouldn't have tolerance for it.
And Rick, today we've heard from Donald Trump. He said he's going to tear his speech up. The speech that he got planned, he said it was a humdinger. No doubt it was going to be quite a combative speech towards Joe Biden. Do you think that the near brush with death, he talks about how it's a miracle he's alive. I'm supposed to be dead. The doctor at the hospital said he'd never seen anything like this. Had I not turned my head in that moment, we would not be talking today, would we? Do you think this near brush with death might make Donald Trump more contemplative? Might he soften his tone, or do you think he'll soon be back to business as usual?
So I don't know if he'll soften the tone, but I think that he is certainly contemplative about what could have happened. And he has said, God alone saved me. And you see his type of action behavior, it has to have an impact on him. Any human, it would have an impact on. So I think that it will be reflected in his speech tonight. And he is absolutely happy that he is still alive and to be able to give that speech tonight. And I think that'll motivate him to be able to communicate to his people what they should need, what they should do moving forward, what our country should do moving forward. I think you're going to see a different vision, slightly different vision from him tonight when he makes his speech.
And Rick, another astonishing development today, the Trump classified documents case has been thrown out of court, and that surely will also boost Donald Trump's chances of re-election.
Yeah, out of all the cases that he has been plagued with, this is by far the one that we always said had the most teeth from a legal point of view. This is absolutely an astonishing development for him, a positive development for somebody to be under 4, major court cases, and now in essence 2 of them are gone, 3 of them are gone. This is a huge win for Donald Trump, a big slap to the special prosecutor in this case, and I think that you're going to see a potential appeal. Absolutely, the prosecutors will appeal this because they want to try to take down Donald Trump in any way they can, and this one actually had some teeth to it, and so now that it's gone, I think it'll be very, very good for Donald Trump as we move forward. It won't impact the election at all at this stage.
And they haven't been able to stop Donald Trump via impeachment. They haven't been able to stop Donald Trump via the courts. They haven't even been able to stop Donald Trump, God willing, through an attempted assassination. Rick Gates, do you think now there's a feeling that Donald Trump is almost a Terminator, a superstar, somebody who cannot be stopped?
Look, I think a lot of people recognize that he has always been a symbol of strength and determination, and even Democrats will say that. And just that, those iconic pictures that will be historical in their place in the political world, the fist pump, as soon as he's shot, when he gets up, all of those resonate with Americans. And you see what's going on the world stage. I think that will absolutely have a positive impact, again, on those key moderates and independents. They're going to be the ones that decide the next president in our country. I think they see the strength and determination of Donald Trump, and they like it.
And Rick Gates, Donald Trump's team have already turned those images into campaign fundraising T-shirts and merchandise. I guess you'd expect no less. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Former Trump campaign Deputy Chairman Rick Gates. Thank you for your company.